craving with mouth-watering Mexican cuisine from Guadalajara's, or choose from 4 other food vendors, all while sipping on your favorite drinks. The BetMGM Sportsbook at Cadillac Jack's Gaming Resort. How will your game play out?
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker, Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work, and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely, and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger?
Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
And here's what you need to know.
The NFL today released the following statement regarding New York Giants Executive Vice President and Chairman of the Board Steve Tisch's connections with convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Quote, "The league is aware of the reports and Steve's response. Our office will look into the matter to understand the facts." Unquote. The Tennessee Titans are hiring 49ers assistant Gus Bradley as their new defensive coordinator. The Denver Broncos are promoting quarterbacks coach Davis Webb to offensive coordinator. The Baltimore Ravens expected to hire Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver as their new defensive coordinator. The Los Angeles Rams have signed head coach Sean McVay and general manager Les Snead to multi-year contract extensions. And in Major League Baseball, the Seattle Mariners are nearing a deal to acquire all-star infielder Brendan Donovan from the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, good Monday afternoon. Welcome in across South Dakota. It is always a great day in South Dakota. Say it with me, the Nate Brown Show back and ready, and it's South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Hope you had a nice weekend, everybody. I'm glad you're here, and thanks for making this show possible. You guys mean a lot, so let's get ready to go tonight. We are live on Fox Sports Radio, KWSN, Sioux Falls. Welcome in East River. On the West River side, we're live on Fox Sports Rapid City. Ready to go, 2 hours, thought-provoking sports talk, a great guest lineup. We're going to go to Super Bowl, go out to Santa Clara, San Francisco, get a live report from Roger Goodell's press conference today. You bet. So we got a lot of stuff here. South Dakota, high school to college to the pros. We are streaming live at a couple of different places. Find us on Midwest Sports Plus, new high school sports streaming app. You've got us, Midwest Sports Plus. Download the app, and this show is live, plus all your live basketball games the rest of the season. Well, YouTube channel, The Nate Brown Show. Subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate it. If you're a YouTube person, go to The Nate Brown Show, and then you've got this show live right now, and every archive show is there as well. One more place saying hi to everybody. Welcome in studio on X. Follow the show. Watch us live on X. At Nate Brown Show. Follow the show at Nate Brown Show. Interact with our question of the day and watch us live. We're good to go out of the gate on a Monday. Super Bowl week. Let's see what we got. I told you we're going to go to Santa Clara. Live report. Greg Bell's going to hop on tonight. He said he's got Roger Goodell's press conference, but he's going to try and do the Nate Brown Show tonight. Greg Bell, Seahawks beat writer. He's live. The News Tribune's covered the Hawks. We'll go to the Seahawks side of things tonight. Greg Bell is in live from Santa Clara. Matthew Collar's going to join us from the Twin Cities, purpleinsider.football. It's Matthew Collar, Vikings Insider, live from the Twin Cities. A lot of Vikings news as we'll start the show with that. Matthew Collar coming up. Jason Andera is live as well. SDPB Sports, high school sports analyst. Jason Andera live talking hoops and more. Andera's on tonight, and it is a Reaction Monday, a full hour with Rob Kegron. Super Bowl week with Rob. Here we go. Reaction Monday. National radio host Rob Kegron's live in the second hour here on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. If you want to be a part of the program, let's get you on. I'd appreciate that. 605-720-1067. Lock that number in. That's our direct line. 605-720-1067. It's the Pizza Ranch studio hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch. A couple of great locations. East River, stop by Brandon. It's a great spot. East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, really nice. Fun Zone Arcade and all the good stuff at the locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet. Barron's Wilson text line is open. If you can't call, text. We like that as well. 605-720-1067. One more time. Barron's Wilson text line on to the Nate Brown Show. 605-720-1067. All right. Hope you had a solid weekend. What do we got popping on a Monday? Well, you know what we have. You guys know what we have. I know it's Super Bowl. We'll get to all that. It's fine. It's fine. We got a countdown going. Hey, it's fine. It's fine. We got plenty of time to talk Super Bowl. The biggest deal for sports fans across this region was the surprise firing on Friday. We're all just heading into the weekend. I was going to take the family to a movie. We're just relaxed. Everybody's chilling. Not a lot popping. You're going to watch the Huskers play some basketball. You got some youth tournaments going on. It's just a nice weekend in South Dakota. And then your Minnesota Vikings fire their general manager on Friday. The news dump. It's like, hey, maybe nobody will worry. Maybe nobody will worry about it. Let's fire Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, the GM for the Vikings. So he gets fired on Friday. And now there's all this stuff that's coming out. People are reacting to it in every which way. So I'm going to try and bring a perspective here on this, okay? Objectively. I'm not a Viking skull homer. I'm not a homer. My brother's a lifelong fan, so I'm readily in tune with the Viking suffering fan base and the passion and all that stuff. So the Vikings fire their general manager. It seems kind of late because you usually do it right after the season. And I mean when you're done. So the Vikings have been out now for a while. They could have done this a while ago. So this seems kind of late, and people are kind of going, what's the story on this? And there's various things coming out. I don't think anybody truly, absolutely knows, except for the Wilfs, the ownership, the decision that was made, and the process that went on, because he was even watching college guys at the Senior Bowl. He was down there scouting and looking, and then they fire him on a Friday. So he's out. Now, let me just tell you about this, okay? Let me tell you about this. People are saying, well, he did a terrible job. He's a analytics guy and stuff like that. He is an analytics guy. I don't think he has a huge history of being like this awesome GM. He was in research and development for the 49ers. Then he did 1 year as a VP for the Browns. He did 1 year as a VP for the Browns, and the Vikings give him the keys to the car. So you could say, I think he might have been in over his skis. He's just crunching the numbers. There's that stuff coming out. But again, it's easy to hit him now when the Vikings hired him, and they thought it was cute. I mean, they thought they were being really smart. We're going out of the box. We're gonna figure out the smartest guys at Princeton and Stanford. That's great. He's smart. I think he's a solid guy. They went outside of the box, and now you can't complain that you maybe didn't think he did a great job from a football side. You went outside of football, kind of, to the analytics department, basically, and then it did not work out on the football side. That's one big thing I noticed. Thanks for getting in. Let's take some calls. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate, thanks for taking my call. I just have to say, whatever happened with the Vikings, I get it. But, man, they need to stay the hell away from George Payton. We love him in Denver. So
Okay, so you don't want them to get George. All right. They might.
I want to keep George.
All right.
I know he's only got a year left on his contract, but they need to leave him alone.
Okay, interesting point. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. By the way, that is something that's being thrown out right now. George Payton, who has a history with the Vikings, leaving Denver and going to Minnesota. I don't know how that would play out. I think he's in good shape in Denver as the 1 year left thing, but maybe the Broncos will have to work something out there. And who's going to be in charge? The Penner Group, they're in charge. Are they going to sign Payton to an extension? You know who just signed an extension? What's ironic in this? Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. I mean, here's how fast things change. He signed an extension last year. He just signed an extension, so the Vikings are 14-3. He got Sam Darnold. Oh, it was a diamond in the rough. He went 14-3. Let's sign everybody to extensions. And then they fire him because, Sam Darnold left, and then we didn't keep Daniel Jones, and some of these draft picks haven't worked. I only blame the ownership. It's very easy to blame the GM. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah just did a terrible job. The ownership hired him outside of the box, not a ton of experience. They took a risk. And then whoever took the risk on the Darnold thing, people are going to say that wasn't a huge deal. That was a huge risk. We're going to let Sam Darnold go. We could have paid him about $25 to $30 million a year. That's a discount for as good as he's been. So we're going to let him go, and we're going to go J.J. McCarthy. I don't know if that was Kwesi. I don't know if that was O'Connell. I don't know what that discussion was like. They were all involved to a degree. You have to know that. And so you let Sam Darnold out. You went with J.J., an absolutely massive risk, and the risks aren't working out. And somebody's going to get hit. So now Kevin O'Connell is next. So Vikings fans and myself, I've liked KOC big time. I think KOC's a really good quarterback guy, smart guy, players coach. Seems like he's done a good job. He's next. So you're not going to be able to blame the next GM and stuff like this. If the Vikings don't get in the mix, what I mean by that, playoffs in the mix, Kevin O'Connell's going to be on this hot one. He's going to be on this hot one. So the Vikings, it's interesting how this all played out. They took a risk on the analytics data guy. And myself, I'm just telling you, they're saying, well, his leadership was kind of odd. He wasn't day-to-day. He wasn't interacting with people. These are all the reports from Matthew Collar, who we're going to have on next. The Athletic, we've had these writers on. Alec Lewis, he's been on the show before. So this is all this stuff coming out of the reports of what was the deal with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah? What was the problem? There's various things. So it's not just one particular thing, but I'm going to point out the Sam Darnold thing had to be a factor. It just had to be a factor because you can make a lot of mistakes. You can't make that big one. And he goes to the Super Bowl on top of it, just an absolute factor. Now, the other thing is, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, I don't know if he goes on to be another GM somewhere. I don't know on this because the Vikings took the risk. This wasn't a guy with a bunch of GM experience. He was a research and development guy for the 49ers. That means he was crunching the numbers. Then he was VP for the Browns. And the Vikings went all in that road. I think that was the big risk, too. That was the big risk. So you can't just say, man, who screwed this up? Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, he screwed it up. I think the Vikings screwed it up from the start. Here's one thing that's being talked about. I'm gonna turn this into our question of the day. So they go back a couple of years. And I don't know if the Vikings are releasing this information because the reporters are reporting it. I got to tell you, they say, well, he took 2 weeks of paternity leave in 2023 during training camp. So that caught NFL executives and other coaches by surprise. You just don't do that in the NFL. This is crunch time. This is training camp. You're trying to get that roster down from 90 to 53 guys, and that was in 2023. Here's the deal, guys. That is a story separately. I just want to bring a little common sense. That's a story separately. That story had nothing to do with Friday. Well, what do you mean? That was in 2023. The Vikings went on to win 14 games last year. Nobody was worried about his paternity leave then. Okay? Now, I will say this. The deal is, I think there's a situation that you can talk about the paternity leave separately. Yes, you can. I absolutely believe that. Okay, you can talk about the paternity leave separately because people can ask now, was that something that NFL teams do? Is that something that NFL teams really do? And a lot of people are saying it doesn't seem like it. It does not seem like it. So let me ask you this. Just the paternity leave separately. I'm not saying that had anything to do with Friday, the Vikings firing him. There's the drafts, maybe the leadership style, some of that stuff. That's what happened, the Sam Darnold thing. That's what happened. But paternity leave for a GM, taking that during training camp, what's your read on that? That's my question of the day. I'd like to throw it out to Vikings fans tonight. 605-720-1067. What do you think of the Vikings GM taking 2 weeks off? He took 2 weeks off training camp for paternity leave. His son was born. He stayed at home, supported his wife, and took care of his son. Now, in today's world, people are going to say on this show, they're going to say, well, this is what happens. Companies do this. This is being proactive. This is something that policies that should be in place. I'm just telling in the NFL, let me flip it this way. What if that was Kevin O'Connell? What if that was Kevin O'Connell, training camp, had a child and said, hey, I'm going to have Brian Flores run the show. I'll be back in 2 weeks. You guys would freak out. That is true. We can't say that's not true, right? So I don't want to totally let him off the hooks like, oh, it's fine. It's just what happens today in 2026. I mean, that's just what happens. Or 2023 in this case. I'm just asking, does that seem a little odd? And I relate that to if that was Kevin O'Connell, that would have been the biggest story in Minnesota Vikings football to start the year that year by far. And here, we didn't even hear about it. Yet the GM's supposed to be in there making roster cuts and talking to evaluators, scouts, and coaches, just supposed to be interacting. So that's how I see it. I know I'm a little tough. I'm an old man yelling at the clouds tonight. I understand. I wouldn't like that. That's me. I understand we're moving forward as a society. I'm not saying fathers, yes, you got to take care of your son. Yes, you got to do all that stuff. That's all very important. I don't like the guys that say, hey, I skipped a game. I skipped the birth of my child for a game. I don't like that either. But 2 weeks, training camp, you wouldn't let Sean Payton, Kevin O'Connell, whoever, just go through the list. You wouldn't let a coach get away with it. So the GM that kind of be like, well, that's not a big issue. It seems a little odd to me. That seems a little odd. That's the type of football stuff that you kind of got to read and say, it's probably not the best thing. Probably not. So you tell me. Listener text, biggest red flag for the Vikings GM, none of his draft picks have made the Pro Bowl. His team is getting old and overpriced. Let's see. Listener text, Kwesi had 4 drafts. His draft picks resulted in 152 total starts, the second lowest in the league over that time period. That's tied for the least over that time period. Pretty obvious he wasn't very good. Listener text, Vikings could pick up George Payton, and I'm on board. Vikings could pick up George Payton. Well, we'll see. George Payton's with my Denver Broncos. Seems like George and Sean are getting along together just fine, just swimmingly. And we'll see. I wonder how that would go if you had a coach take 2 weeks off, paternity leave, saying, hey, I know it's crunch time. We got training camp going on. I'm going to bail. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Nobody's saying you can't spend some time, guys. I mean, nobody's saying you can't stay at home, half maybe the morning, maybe the afternoon, something like this. But you got to put in a little work here. There is a reason these guys get paid a bunch of money. I'm not talking to miss the birth of your child. Let's not be dumb. But I am saying it's not just like 2 weeks. You're not just like putting reports together at some accounting firm. Sorry. You're not putting reports together. You're at the Minnesota Vikings. It's training camp. You're cutting down the roster. This is crunch time. I thought that was odd. Listener text, the paternity GM needed to go. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Listener text, so no one should have a life outside of work? Oh, no. You can have a life. But when it's crunch time, you got to get the work done. You got to get I'm not saying he needed to stay overnight at the Vikings facility. Take care of your son and your wife and get your work done. Matthew Collar is in, Purple Insider, Vikings Insider from the Twin Cities. His reaction to the Vikings going down this road coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Game day starts before kickoff. Get ready for the big game with help from Menards. Find great deals on sofas and recliners to keep guests comfortable all game long. Score big savings and stock up on game day goodies. Shop a variety of snacks and drinks to keep your party fueled up. Make Menards a part of your game plan. Shop in store or on Menards.com and save big money.
Save big money at Menards.
All kinds of vehicles, all kinds of loans, all as low as 4.99% APR. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we're here to help all kinds of people, just like you. Get moving. From truck drivers to van warriors, we got the right loan to fit your style with rates as low as 4.99% APR. Wherever the road takes you, start with BHFCU. Apply today at bhfcu.com or text or call 605-718-1818.
Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member-owned and insured by NCUA.
Get ready for the biggest game of the year. The BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort has everything you need for this monumental matchup with the Big Game Experience. Reserve your seat today and guarantee you and your crew have a spot to watch the ultimate championship in football. The Big Game Experience comes with a game day buffet, special games and giveaways, and $25 free play in the casino. Let us host your big game this year at the BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort in Deadwood. Learn more at tinlizzy.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. 54 this afternoon, under mainly clear skies, northwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Lows around 30 tonight. Slight chance of rain. Tomorrow, highs around 48, cloudy. Mainly clear skies and dry Wednesday and Thursday, low 50s, Wednesday, mid 60s by Thursday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 48.
Chatting with Brian at Anytime Auto Sales. Winter is here. And as always, we're here to help with all your winter automotive needs. From mobile oil changes to around the wheel and under the hood repairs, we fix most everything, and we'll do it at an affordable price. What about tires, batteries, and brakes? Absolutely. With over 50 brand name tires, we have deals as good as anywhere. 10% off our Duralast Pro Power Ultra batteries, a 5-year battery with roadside assistance, and flat out the best brake deal around at just $399 per axle with new pads, rotors, labor, and a lifetime warranty for most vehicles. Fantastic. And if people need financing, can you help there? Yes, we can. We offer the AutoPass card, an interest-free card for 6 months on every repair over $199, which saves a lot of people who need immediate help with repairs. Get an answer in minutes from our homepage at anytimeanytime.com. Just click the AutoPass Apply Now button. Take advantage of that card, people. See anytimeanytime.com. And, of course, at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
Where can you get surprisingly great rates on auto and renter's insurance? At State Farm. I'm State Farm Agent Matt McCormick, and I'm your one-stop shop in Rapid City for protecting your car and your stuff for surprisingly great rates. So stop looking around. Call me, State Farm Agent Matt McCormick, for surprisingly great auto and renter's rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
All right, welcome back. South Dakota Sports Talk Show just getting going on a Monday. Super Bowl week. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio, KWSN Sioux Falls. Welcome in, Fox Sports Rapid City. Busy show. We've got Greg Bell live from the Super Bowl. He's at Roger Goodell's presser right now, so I hope we can get him. Greg Bell's coming up. Seahawks beat writer for the News Tribune. Seahawks Patriots. Coming up, we'll get a countdown with Greg Bell on opening day. It's got Media Day tonight, too, where he gets to ask all the players stuff and all those goofy reporters out there. Greg Bell's on the way from Santa Clara. Let's go to the Twin Cities. Matthew Coller's in. Big weekend for the Vikings. Find his work at purpleinsider.football. Purpleinsider.football. I just watched his show this afternoon, his reaction to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah getting fired on Friday. Find him on X at Matthew Coller. Matthew, welcome in, man. How are you?
Oh, well, a little busier than I would have expected because, after the season got over with, I think we all thought, okay, well, I guess that they're going to continue going down this road. And then, so it turns out they were not going to continue going down this road. So here we are.
Okay, so why do you think it took them a while? Because Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah was at the Senior Bowl. They fired him Friday. Why didn't they do it after the season? What was going on here?
Yeah, sure, and there's a lot of different theories about that. One, starting with the fact that, Sam Darnold is in the Super Bowl, and this was the team that let Sam Darnold go. Although, I will say that, I think some things are being overlooked when it comes to that discussion, which, the timing of Brian Flores coming back. And ESPN's Kevin Seifert, in his article, mentioned that the lack of a contract extension for Brian Flores heading into the offseason was connected with his feelings about the front office. So I don't think that that's maybe too much of a coincidence there. And I think it kind of really connects to what the Wilfs said, the owners of the Vikings, was that they had their year-end meetings, and what kept coming up was that people thought that they needed a change. And when you look at just how important this offseason is going to be. They have a decision to make at the quarterback position. They have cap issues that they're going to have to resolve. They have extensions they're going to have to give out. They have a free agent approach, a draft with a lot more draft picks than they've had in the past. And I think that there were folks inside that building that just felt like, we're going to need somebody else to really be a leader here, and they decided that it wasn't him. So now that puts that leadership role onto the shoulders of Kevin O'Connell. And, Rob Brzezinski, who's taking over, is very well respected. He's been around a very long time, and I think he's got all the capabilities of leading a front office through this, but the timing of it and the fact that they're not going to hire a general manager until after the draft is certainly something that you would not have expected to see. So it is a fascinating situation, and the only people who truly, truly know all the reasons that went into it are inside that building.
So it wasn't long ago where they just extended him. I mean, they just gave him an extension. And so they had to think, well, we're on the right track. So did he put together good rosters or not?
Yeah, I think it's more complicated than that, right? Because when you look at the roster, it's hard to argue that it's not good. They still found a way to win 9 games despite the fact that they had some of the worst quarterback play in the entire NFL. And they did it with a great defense that had been built over years by this front office and coaching staff together. And even though they did miss on quite a few picks in the draft, their first-round picks overall, when you look at Donovan Jackson, made a lot of progress this year and looks to have a promising career. Jordan Addison, off the field, problematic. On the field, very good. And Dallas Turner took a huge step forward this year. So that's why, when you look at it, it's not as simple as that. I think that it has a lot more to do with trust between the coaching staff and the front office and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah as their leader. And, it also may be that the ideas that they have for going forward here don't match up. and the person that was, on a different side of that ends up out. But I think it's probably a combination of things. But really what it says to me is that, Kevin O'Connell, it's your time now. I mean, it's sink or swim for Kevin O'Connell when it comes to fixing the quarterback situation and, getting back to the playoffs and winning a playoff game. I mean, they have not won a playoff game since 2019. That is a very long time to go in the NFL and still have your job without, at least for him since 2022 when he was hired. Very long time to go. In fact, I did this. I looked through all the NFL teams, couldn't find another coach that had been in their post for as long as O'Connell without a playoff win. Yep, there's a lot of pressure there, man.
Matthew Coller on tonight. He just released Purple Insider. Find him on YouTube and purpleinsider.football. Talking Vikings from the Twin Cities. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah fired on Friday. Vikings looking for a new GM. So, this report from 2023, the paternity leave thing. The first thing you type in, what I just wanted to see what it was like on Google. I typed in Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, and then the next two words were paternity leave. So that's what everybody's searching for. Hey, what really happened? He took 2 weeks off during training camp. I see it as a really separate story. It was 2023. It has to be separate from Friday's deal. But did it show anything that led to, his relationships, his work in the building, stuff like that? Can you take anything away from the paternity leave thing?
Yeah, so, that has turned into kind of a disaster of all sorts of different opinions. The way that I would put it is that within every single place of work, there's different things that, are acceptable or not acceptable. If you're a boxer, it's okay to punch people, but in sports radio, it's not, is one way to put it, right? And, I think when you're trying early in a regime to win over a front office that was not yours before, that belonged to Rick Spielman, and you come from a different place, that if you do something that far outside of the norm, which, this is just not something that's done in the NFL when it comes to taking paternity leave. Players, coaches, front office people, they sacrifice a lot when it comes to their families. And I think that it did undermine a little bit of his credibility there with the rest of the people in the front office that, and the Vikings will say that they approved it, and that's okay. But when you're trying to win over everybody else as a very new general manager, to go that far outside of what is normally done in that position and to have botched your first draft. Let's make that clear that, they had messed up their first draft. And I was told that in the way that I wrote it was that during that process, during that time away, there were communication issues with, you don't have your leader in the building during training camp, which is a very important time for putting the final touches on the roster, evaluating players, forming a 53, all of those things. It was not an easy time to step away for that long, and I think it caused some folks to wonder, is this guy kind of, of our world, and is that fair? Maybe not. But I also understand it when you're around NFL people. It's just a different universe than the normal type of workplace. And I think people do need to respect that when they, talk about it. These are not a bunch of, monsters in football who, just are against parenting or something. It's just that world requires a lot of sacrifice from people. And, I think it made them wonder, are you kind of separate from us? Do you kind of view yourself as being different from us, which would not have maybe been asked so much if he had been an old school scout. That's where it fits in as part of the trend, because otherwise I don't think this would be any part of the story, but it's part of the trend of just not necessarily fitting in, not having buy-in from the coaches, not having buy-in from the front office and all those things. But make no mistake, this story would not matter at all if J.J. McCarthy had been good. And period, right? That, if that plan had worked out, you would never have heard a word about this. It wouldn't have been something that was discussed or debated or anything else. They'd be talking about how they're going to add around J.J. McCarthy. So we also need to keep in mind that a lot of the rumor stuff or a lot of the, hey, what went wrong and everything else all connects back to, if they were better, then this would not have been a problem.
Yeah, I thought about it this way. I was like, wait, I know he did the paternity leave thing, and people are latching onto that, and it seems odd for the NFL. Well, that would be, what if Kevin O'Connell did that? I mean, that would be absolutely outrageous. It would be the biggest story in Minnesota sports for, hey, I'm going to take 2 weeks off in training camp. So they wouldn't let a coach do it, right?
Well, right, yeah, and I don't think there's too many scouts or other front office people, either that have an important time that, maybe if it's in the middle of the summer where you have, everybody sort of gets their time off after minicamp or even in OTAs or something like that. But when you're talking about that important of a time, that's what made it so unique, and that's where the context needs to be included. And also, just to be clear, he was not fired because he took paternity leave. He was fired because they want new leadership and didn't have the full buy-in of the rest of the people inside of the front office and coaching staff. That really is what this comes down to, and a lot of that does relate to not hitting on drafts and things like that, and different moves that may have been rebuffed by Kwesi or just a connection of getting these things done and communicating. So it's much more about all-around leadership than it is the guy took paternity leave.
Matthew Coller on tonight. Before I let him run, find him at purpleinsider.football. Vikings looking for a new GM. So how's this process going to go, do you think? Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, are they going to be making the call here for the draft? Are they going to be able to hire a GM quickly? Could they get a guy like George Payton away from the Broncos?
So Mark Wilf said that they're not hiring a general manager until after the draft, which is very surprising. I thought, you'd think you'd need somebody to get in there pretty quickly and start getting to work. But, that's not how they're going to approach it, which really leaves it down to Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores to lead the way here. They're going to have Rob Brzezinski in charge of making the moves happen, of getting contracts done and things like that. But those are the guys who are really going to have the final say on just about everything. And then, there's two options. Do they bring in somebody that's going to be Kevin O'Connell's guy that goes out and get the groceries, or are they going to bring in someone who is evaluating Kevin O'Connell? And that's really the big question. I think it's better to bring in a new set of eyes that can be, the eyes and ears of the ownership, which, has at times felt like a little absentee. So can you get someone who can be the eyes and ears and evaluate everything? That's what I think they should do, and that would be George Payton, who has connections here to Minnesota. But if it's not, then I think we know that they are fully buying into Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores here going forward.
Okay, so Kevin O'Connell, Matthew, which way is he going to go at QB here? J.J. McCarthy, I get it, but there's some QBs that are going to be available. What type of plan do you think he wants to do?
Yeah, there has been no indication whatsoever from Kevin O'Connell that he wants to stay with J.J. McCarthy. He's been asked a number of times, hey, is he your guy? Is he your quarterback? What are you going to do there? Is he? Have you bought into him? And at all those opportunities to say yes, he has not said yes. And when he was asked at the end of the year, he said that he wants a competitive room, which to me sounds like wants someone to battle with J.J. McCarthy, if not take the job in training camp, which leaves open to all sorts of options. Kirk Cousins coming back, trading for Mac Jones. There's all sorts of, if Kyler Murray gets released, go after Kyler Murray. None of the options are good or exciting, but then again, once upon a time, Sam Darnold wasn't a good or exciting option either. So I think Kevin O'Connell already has the answer to this. We just don't know what it is. But there's no way that they go into next year with just J.J. McCarthy and a regular backup. That is not going to happen.
Wow. Matthew Coller on a busy time. Follow him at purpleinsider.football. He's on X at Matthew Coller. Great Vikings insight. Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you, Nate.
Matthew Coller on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. It's purpleinsider.football. Get in if you're a Vikings fan. If you haven't hit that, hit it. purpleinsider.football. And he's on X at Matthew Coller. Kevin O'Connell, he believes, wants somebody else at QB. Somebody that can make some plays, put some pressure on J.J. McCarthy. What are the Vikings going to do now? General manager, they need that. They'll do that after the draft. So now Kevin O'Connell, as I said to start the show, Vikings coach, he's the coach, and now he's running the show. You know how I'm driving the bus now? He's driving it. So this is the Kevin O'Connell show now. We love Kevin O'Connell, but How about that stat from Matthew Collar? No coach has been in his post this long without a playoff win. So that's interesting. No current NFL coach on the docket. All right. Greg Bell, we're going to try and track him down. We'll see if we can do it. He's at the Roger Goodell press conference in Santa Clara, so that could be going long, so hang tight. Greg Bell, Seahawks beat writer for the News Tribune. We'll try and get him. Also, Jason Andera is on tap. SDPB Sports, talking high school hoops and more. Big basketball meeting we told you about last week here in South Dakota. It's coming up Wednesday. Let's get into it. Jason Andera coming up.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Fox Sports Radio, KWSN Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. Yes, here we go. Greg Bell, we're trying to track him down. He's at the Roger Goodell press conference in Santa Clara. So that's not a little important. I mean, I understand. He's trying to get on the Nate Brown Show. Yes, we will get him, I hope. Greg Bell, Seahawks beat writer. We'll talk Super Bowl coming up. We hope to get him from Santa Clara First, Jason Andera. He's switching it up, man. We're going to have Jandy on later. Let's get him in now. Jason Andera, SDPB Sports, talking high school hoops and more. Jandy, how are you?
I'm really doing great. By the way, I noticed you changed your rejoin music to something in this decade. That's crazy, Nate.
Wow, I can't believe you noticed that.
Oh, of course.
I cannot believe
your
that.
rejoin music. Usually it's like great stuff from my childhood, and then you play 12 to 12. That's great. That's good stuff.
Okay, you are on target tonight. That's a good start to this segment, Jason. I mean, I'm telling you. Okay, let's go to the high school basketball meeting Wednesday. I just want your thoughts on a few proposals. There's 2 proposals that are coming up, 2 of them now, Wednesday at the basketball meeting here in South Dakota. SODAC 32. The SODAC 16 has been going. It's been going. That's how we whittled it down to 8 teams for state. SODAC 32, they want to do it in Class A and Class B. Why won't this ever die? What do people want?
Oh, man. Well, that's the problem. Everybody wants something a little bit different. And they're trying to make the best of both worlds with the SODAC 16 to preserve your regions and your districts, but then still have the best 8 teams go to the state tournament. And now with the 32, they're pushing it even further out, saying, you know what, it's still not totally fair on which teams come out of a certain region, because there are a lot of times 3 of the best teams in the state out of the same region. So it comes down to perspective, and everybody wants something a little bit different. I just want the best teams at the state tournament. That's what I've always wanted. So for me, the SODAC 32, or whatever you want to call it, is just fine with me. But I totally understand why some people are against that and want to stay with regions.
Okay, so is it very often that we have to go that deep into a region and say, man, we should have 3 teams out of this region. They could all win the state title. I understand there's maybe sometimes, but does it happen all the time, 3 teams?
No, it doesn't. And that's why the SODAC 16 was so good, because there were obviously times that a team could win a state title where there were 2 teams in the same, but 3 maybe that deserve to be in the state tournament, but do they really have state title aspirations? Probably not. So you're right. It's pretty rare. And for those people who enjoy the region tournaments, I get it. And I think that SODAC 16 is a great place right in the middle.
All right, Jason Andera is on tonight. SDPB Sports talking high school hoops. Big basketball advisory meeting is this Wednesday. We'll be covering it. A couple of proposals to talk about, including, are we going to make basketball coaches mandatory stats reporting on the Go Bound system? Iowa makes them do it. We borrowed this from Iowa. You report your stats. We'll give you a couple of weeks window. You report your stats, and if you miss it 3 times, we could suspend you for the postseason. We could suspend the head coach. I don't know if I want to go that far, but how do we meet in the middle here to get stats up?
I don't mind going that far, because if you don't, push that far, there's going to be a lot of teams that don't do it. And I'll tell you what, a lot of these coaches associations, I've had conversations with the Football Coaches Association, the Basketball Coaches Association. They want to do anything they can to promote their sport. And I don't know if there's a better way to promote your sport than to put your stats out there. It helps broadcasters. It helps fans. I don't see a downside to it, and I'm fine with them having a little bit of a sting if you don't follow the rules, rather than a $50 fine or something like that. I think it'd be great to be able to promote high school sports by putting stats up, and I don't really see the downside to it. I have had coaches say, "Well, we don't want to hurt Johnny's feelings because he was 1 for 14 on his threes," and I just don't think that's a big enough argument for me to not do it.
Here's one that a coach told me. I can go and look at all of my opponents. I can look at their stats, and I can really grab a snapshot there. And I understand I'm going to scout them anyway, but I can see field goal percentage. I can see this player. I can see that. They think it's a pretty big scouting edge if everybody's stats are up there.
Yeah, but it's also an equal playing field. And honestly, almost all the coaches I talk to know exactly what the other team is bringing to the table as far as who their main scorers are. You're right. There's a little bit more detail Maybe they can find out, they're shooting the three at a higher clip. We're going to have to change our defense a little bit. But you see that on film anyway. To me, again, that's not a big enough reason.
Okay, last one on the basketball advisory meeting. This is a big one. I don't know how far it's going to go. There's a proposal that would say private schools in the big markets, Sioux Falls and Rapid City, if they have a certain enrollment, okay, you're around all these big schools that are over 1,000 ADM. So this would be Sioux Falls Christian, Rapid City Christian, St. Thomas More. They would automatically be moved to AA basketball. I thought that was too much. St. Thomas More's got 128 ADM. They'd be in the mix with teams over 1,000 ADM. So if we talk enrollment in football, then why are we going to disregard it here? We just make St. Thomas More and Sioux Falls Christian move up.
I totally agree with you on that one, Nate. I think it should be a factor just because they have more percentage of their population of students that are involved in extracurricular activities. So they have, obviously a better chance to put a good team together, and that's obviously been proven out time and time again, seeing the private schools with the success that they've had. But to force them to play in the biggest class, that's a move where some people, I think, don't fully feel what that would do to those schools. That would be really tough, especially for a school like Rapid City Christian, who's getting better, who's got a great athletic program, but that is asking way too much. Make it a factor, yes. Make it the only factor, no.
Okay, do you think is there a big sediment across South Dakota, small communities, the Class A communities, that Sioux Falls Christian really is the issue here?
Well, I mean, if you asked me the most disliked school, it would be Sioux Falls Christian, because they've got the reputation of winning all the time. That's all it really comes down to. They're super nice. They don't play any different than any other teams, but they win a lot. And there are a lot of smaller Class A schools that don't like that. And I think that's where some of this push is probably coming from.
Yeah. I think about it, I go, would Sioux Falls Christian ever move themselves up to AA? They did this in soccer. Would they do this in basketball?
Yeah, they might. If they get to a point where they need to challenge themselves in order to keep bringing top-level kids, and I hate to say bring top-level kids, but to have the top-level kids want to play at Sioux Falls Christian, they might get to a point where they say, we do need to push it to AA. And I know their athletic director is not totally against that, and you've seen them do a few sports where they have pushed themselves into another class to be able to have a little bit more level playing field in competing. I don't think it would be totally out of the realm to believe that they would maybe try that in basketball or even football to push up another class.
Trying to keep an eye on this basketball advisory meeting. It's coming up this Wednesday here in South Dakota, the Activities Association big basketball meeting with a lot of proposals. Jason Ander is on tonight on the Nate Brown Show. Find him at SDPB Sports. His show is Game Time. It comes out every week. A couple of basketball season questions. Sioux Falls Lincoln boys almost got beat. What do we take away from that T game?
Well, I think I said this last week, is that as good as Sioux Falls Lincoln is in basketball, and they are very good, very efficient, they're not at the level where they can't be beat. And they saw what could happen when you get a really hot T-area team who has a couple of shooters. Gavin Schad goes off, a couple of really talented players. They gave them a test, and they were able to match them on the boards. I think that was one of the big things that Lincoln hasn't had too much problem with this year, is rebounding. And they had some problems rebounding against T-area. They didn't have their best night, but they kept them at arm's length long enough to get the win. And, a lot of teams will have close games, off nights, and take a loss. They continue to win. So that says something about this Lincoln basketball team.
I want to ask you about a West River boys situation. So St. Thomas More beats Spearfish 61-38. I thought Spearfish is a good AA team. Yeah. St. Thomas More blasted them, and then Spearfish turns around and blasts Rapid City Central. So where are we at on St. Thomas More in Class A and Spearfish in AA, boys?
I'll tell you what, these teams are Jekyll and Hyde sometimes, and I really think they're high school kids who get something in their head that this is a big game and maybe put a little bit too much pressure on themselves. I think that's what happened to Spearfish. They're not as bad as that St. Thomas More loss. We know that because they've handled some teams like Makpialuta who have played close to St. Thomas More. So it's just one of those that got out of hand, and there were some big-time performances from the St. Thomas More team. I mean, they had some explosions on their offensive side that made it happen.
Yeah. Interesting stuff right now going on. Some close games. Lincoln almost got knocked off. The season heating up. Jason Andera's show is Game Time, SDPB Sports. Man, thanks for hopping in. As always, I appreciate it.
All right, take care, Nate.
See you. Jason Andera on tonight from Sioux Falls, SDPB Sports. Find him on X at 605 Jandy here on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Yeah, so I've made my thoughts known on the Wednesday basketball advisory meeting, at least my opinion. I'm not a coach. I'm not an administrator. I'm just a clueless radio host of 26 years. Okay? I don't like the private school proposal, trying to bump up St. Thomas More, Sioux Falls Christian, Rapid City Christian, just because, well, they're in the big markets. They can choose, and they can pick and choose and all this and that. You know who else can pick and choose? All the big public schools. They can pick and choose. It's called open enrollment. So, I mean, we get lost in this all the time. No, it's only Rapid City Christians getting the players. Sioux Falls Christians getting the players. You know who else can get players? Big schools in the big markets. You can go anywhere. Just fill out some paperwork. You can go anywhere. I've seen it. I'm telling you, I've seen kids transfer from school to school, from private to public, from public to public. That whole, it's like, oh, no, they have all the edge. There's some edge there potentially with a high percentage of their student population that are participating in sports and have the socioeconomic status to do the training and some of the edge there. I understand that. But I can't make a school with 160 kids go bump up and play a team over 1,000 kids. You wouldn't do that in football. So everybody just wants to do it in basketball here on Wednesday. That doesn't work. And the SODAC 32, I mean, boy, the SODAC 16 is working fine. You just take the 8 regions. You take the top 2 teams. It's all good. If I'm a third team in a region, and it's like, I got to get to state. It's like, everybody complains about participation awards. It's like, if you're the third team in the region, you're third. That's it. You got to be 1 or 2. Get better. What's the phrase? Get better. So, and then coaches, careful. I mean, I want stats too, but I don't want to be suspending coaches for state tournaments for not reporting stats a third time. Although, if I do something a third time, I'd probably get in trouble with my wife too, but sometimes you got to play hardball. Coming right back, I want to go to this political story out of Pennsylvania. It's dealing with youth sports. So there's 2 legislators in Pennsylvania who've come with an idea. They want to give some free money to youth sports parents. Well, what do you think of this coming up?
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number 1. So you can always be their number 1. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number 1 hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
Of all ages, Rapid City has a new sports facility that you have to check out. E3 Sports Complex on East North Street, featuring 4 full courts for basketball and volleyball. E3 Sports Complex is here to serve the community and wants all athletes of any age to come and experience expert training, coaching, and the opportunity to unlock your athletic potential. Memberships are available now. Come to play at E3 Sports Complex. Learn more at e3sports.org.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. We're back to music from the 80s and 90s. We got complaints over playing that new song just moments ago. So we're back to 80s and 90s music on the Nate Brown Show. Just what you expect. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live. Let's go to Santa Clara. He's been busy, so we really appreciate him. We've talked to him over the years. Greg Bell covers the Seahawks for the NewsTribune.com. He just got done with Roger Goodell's press conference, and he's on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Greg, welcome in. How are you?
I'm well, but Nate, how's everything?
Good, man. I appreciate your time. I really do. I know you're just popping around there. So,
keeping warm there, I'm sure, at this time of year.
Yeah, it's not bad, actually. It's not bad. 20? Yeah, we got like 50, man. So we'll take that right now.
You're living large.
Yeah, it's a beauty. I want to ask you, what was your, you just got the Roger Goodell presser done. So I was trying to follow it on social media and doing the show here. One thing he pointed out was it's not a given that we're going to go to 18 regular season games. Well, is it or not?
Yeah, I was a little surprised he pumped the brakes on that a little bit. He said it's not a done deal, and that he did note that the Players Association is in a leadership change that'll probably take place this spring, so things are kind of on hold there. And he did. He dampened it. The times I've heard him talk about it, he was much more forward about that. He did say there are going to be 9 international games with the return to Mexico City of a regular season game in December. They already announced today that Paris is going to host a game with the Saints being a home team for the first time. In France, there's going to be a game. So there's going to be 9 international games this coming season, next season. But yeah, it was a little notable that he pumped the brakes a little bit, and he is deferring, and probably rightly so, to the players' union, the ownership, and making sure he doesn't just put carts before the horse before the players aren't in agreement.
Okay, so do you think we are going to get to more international games? That was the other big thing mentioned by Bob Kraft a few weeks ago. Are we going to get to a lot of international games, like 16?
That's the goal. He said that we're on our way, and he mentioned 16 games a season, the idea being that with 32 teams, every team would play an international game each year. Teams would alternate by year whether they are giving up a home game to do that. It's going to happen. The money is such, and the exposure internationally, the licensing agreements, international media rights, all of that. I mean, it's all about money, of course. And there are still untapped markets, China being a huge one, that someday in our lifetimes, maybe not mine, we're getting old, there is going to be a time when they play 16 games and every team plays internationally, and as Goodell said about 20 minutes ago, we're on our way.
Greg Bell is on tonight from Santa Clara, Super Bowl Seahawks beat writer, thenewstribune.com. Find him on X at GBellSeattle. Appreciate him coming on. So what was the headline of the presser? I know he was asked about the Seahawks, for example, the expected sale coming up. Where did that go?
Nowhere. He didn't answer it much. We talked to Bert Cold after, the vice chair of the team. He said nothing more than the team statement, which says the team is not for sale. But they are looking to sell because that's the estate. Paul Allen's estate, when he died in 2018, his estate mandated that all of his assets be sold to philanthropical interests. The Portland Trailblazers are already for sale, one of the sports teams that Paul Allen owned and the estate now owns. And it logically follows that the Seahawks are after that. Goodell and Bert Cold denied that the Wall Street Journal report that the league fined the Seahawks $5 million for not already having a buyer and getting it out of the estate. And Roger Goodell made it sound like he doesn't want sound like the NFL is putting any pressure at all on the Seahawks to sell, and that Jody Allen will do it and do it the right way. So not a lot of clarity on that. Fans want more answers than they're getting so far on that. And obviously the league and the team doesn't want anything to distract from the Seahawks being in the Super Bowl this week. That's why they don't appreciate the timing of these reports.
Yeah. Greg Bell on tonight, covers the Seahawks, so let's get into it. Do the Seahawks have they're favored by 4.5 in the odds. Do you feel like they have an edge here in this matchup?
I do, because I think their defense against New England's offense is a decisive advantage. Nate, I haven't watched the Patriots a ton, but when I have seen them, they've struggled offensively. They do have a quarterback in Drake May that runs the ball better than any quarterback the Seahawks have faced this season. But overall, offensively, I'm not sure they have a weapon. They have Ramondre Stevenson in a punishing running game, and they will test the Seahawks run game there, but the run defense there. But I just think overall the decisive edge for Seattle in this game is their defense over New England's offense. Now, New England's defense, that's another matter. I think the Seahawks are going to have a hard time scoring against that. There are really good corners, Christian Gonzalez in particular, but they really cover well on the outside. They are equipped to take away the deep strikes that the Seahawks like to do with Sam Darnold to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Seahawks, especially in their big play department that they've been so good at to get to this point. But I do think Seattle's defense has a decisive advantage.
Are we past the point of doubting Sam Darnold yet?
Well, I know the Seahawks are, and I am now that he is 30-7 in his last 2 seasons. I used to be a baseball beat writer. And I had this one year. I had the Cy Young Award vote for the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area chapter of the Baseball Writers, and it was the year that Roger Clemens won 24 games for the Yankees, but his ERA was like 4. And I think it was Pedro Martinez who had a ERA around 2, but he had like 11 wins and 11 losses for the Red Sox. And I asked Ken Mock at the time, the A's manager, Ken, I got the vote for the MVP. Who would you vote for between Clemens and Martinez? And he goes, Greg, let me tell you something about professional sports. It's about wins and blanking losses. And I never forgot that. And the quarterback position in the NFL is about wins and blanking losses. And Sam Darnold is the only one in NFL history to have 14-plus wins in 2 consecutive seasons for 2 different teams. He and Tom Brady are the only ones to do it at all with 2 teams or 1 team, and he's just winning. The Vikings obviously screwed up by giving him away and putting their lot on J.J. McCarthy when they did. They could have had Sam Darnold for another season at least, and they let him go to the free agency. But he has propelled the Seahawks offense. He's the reason Jackson Smith-Njigba has 1,793 yards.
Man.
Yes, he has the NFL high 20 turnovers, and that is a problem when he does turn it over. But these last 4 weeks, he hasn't turned over all, and they're in the Super Bowl. And that's the key on Sunday. Don't give New England a short field and cheap points.
Greg Bell on tonight from Santa Clara. What's the atmosphere like? Santa Clara, San Francisco, what's it like?
Well, I'm in San Jose with the Seahawks,
okay,
about 9 miles away from the stadium. It's 70 degrees, sunny. It's a little early in the week for fans to be here, but the atmosphere is idyllic as far as the weather goes. We just came out of rain and gloom in Seattle, but not really getting going yet. It's still subdued. It's only Monday. It costs a lot of money, as you probably can guess, to go to a Super Bowl as a fan or anybody. Hotels, and not to mention tickets. Anyone who goes to a game isn't coming on Monday. So it really gets going Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Media night tonight where everybody asks all sorts of questions. Are you going to be in there? Who do you want to talk to?
I'll be in there. I'll be watching the absolute absurdity of it all. It's become quite an absolute sideshow. Everyone tries to outdo everybody else and play pranks on the players, and yeah, it's not football, but I'll talk to a lot of guys who aren't on the main podiums to get their impression of what they're seeing. Guys like Derek Young from Division II Illinois Ryan, 2 North Dakota State Bison players,
yes,
former roommates, Jalen Sindell and Greg Zabel. I'm going to talk to them about what they think about being here, especially Zabel as a rookie. Those kind of stories are their eye-opening experience of it all. I think that's what I'm going to be aiming for.
Greg Zabel out of Pierce, South Dakota. We're interested in that. Follow Greg Bell at GBell Seattle. He'll be talking to Greg Zabel tonight. TheNewsTribune.com, Seahawks beat writer. Greg, really appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir, Nate. Anytime. Take care.
Appreciate it. Greg Bell on tonight, TheNewsTribune.com. He'll be talking to Greg Zabel. Perfect timing. He'll be at Media Night tonight. Greg Bell live from the Super Bowl. Let's go to a Reaction Monday with Rob Kagron. He's coming in next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
The following radio ad is Good Fun Squad approved.
Hey, I'm Dylan, and I'm a South Dakota Lottery intern. I've learned some pretty cool things here at the lottery. Like, did you know 100% of the money we make goes back to the state, including millions every year for education? That's awesome, right? I also learned there's a machine for making your own coffee. Who knew? Anyway, learn more about where South Dakota Lottery money goes at goodfunsd.com. Good fun! Must be 18 or older to play. Please play responsibly.
Inheritance, romance, and investment scams continue to plague South Dakotans with high dollar amount losses. They prey on vulnerable adults and swindle consumers out of their funds. Scammers befriend the victim, making it difficult for them to see the reality of what's happening. If you have a loved one susceptible to this type of scam, sit down and talk with them about these issues before it happens to them. If you or a loved one have been scammed in this manner, please reach out to the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
At Connect Home Center, they've been a part of the Mead Lumber family since 2000. Now, they're bringing everything together under one trusted name, Mead Lumber. Don't worry, your favorite team, great service, and high-quality products aren't going anywhere. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name. From design to finish, here for you every step of the way. Check them out at meadlumber.com.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at bhosc.com.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Being in business has its rewards as well as its challenges. It means being the first one in the door in the morning and turning off the lights when you leave at night. Your business is unique, and you need a bank that understands your needs. You deserve the best. You need a financial partner that is invested in your success. You need Pioneer Bank and Trust. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Honey, would you hand me that chair leg, please?
The one from the mahogany dining room set or the oak chair from the living room set?
The oak ones. I think they smell better.
Here.
Oh, thank you. Feel that heat.
Honey.
Yeah.
Instead of burning the furniture in our house to stay warm, can't we just get replacement windows?
Honey, we've been through this. Those window companies subcontract the work out, and once they get started, well, good luck seeing them again.
Not if we use Renewal by Andersen. They only do windows, no subcontractors. Plus, they use certified master installers.
All they're going to do is go to a home repair store and pick something off the rack. Heck, I can do that. Oh, hand me that coffee tabletop, please.
No, they have in-home consultations, and they're 100% custom. Plus, they're energy efficient, low maintenance, and we won't have to burn any of our own furniture.
Okay, I'll call in the morning. In the meantime, do you still have that makeup table you had as a kid? I mean,
Not
it's
my
all
makeup
solid
table.
For a perfect
Nope,
fit,
no.
call 605-341-7831. Renewal by Andersen of South Dakota.
One more time.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, we're ready. Super Bowl week. Are you ready? Yes. Countdown to Santa Clara. How depressed am I? People saw me over the weekend. I had my Broncos jacket on. Everybody said, how you feeling? How you doing? No, not so good. It is what it is. Trying to get over it, right? Seahawks, Patriots, and we'll be ready. I am cheering on Sam Darnold. Are you all ready? You're all ready. The Nate Brown Show is on. Rob Kegron is in. Reaction Monday. We are live on Fox Sports Radio across the state, KWSN Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. The Nate Brown Show official outfitters, Trav's Outfitter. When it's stock show in Rapid City right now, that's the new place you want to check out on Campbell Street. Best selection, best service, no BS. It's really the place for work boots and Western boots. And I'm telling you, you don't leave wondering if you made the wrong choice. If you're on your feet all day, fit matters. Trav's Outfitter, the experts in work and Western footwear. Family-owned South Dakota store. TravsOutfitter.com. Take a look for yourself and drop by the new store on Campbell Street in Rapid City. All right, there's a lot of things popping, Rob Kegron. A lot of things popping. Super Bowl countdown, and we'll get to Sam Darnold. We're not going to make our picks yet. We'll do that Thursday as we get closer, but the Seahawks are favored by 4.5. That's still the number, so we'll see where that goes. I want to go to this Vikings story. I started my show with it tonight, the opening monologue. We're going to start the second hour with it. So they fired the general manager, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, and everybody's throwing all sorts of stuff out that, well, hey, they fired him now because look at what happened. Sam Darnold went to the Super Bowl, and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah was the GM that let him out the door. Then they go back to look at his drafts. Look at his last 4 drafts. He's just not good enough. Then I got a Vikings fan, though, texted in and said, Rob, hey, did we finish 4-13 or did we finish 9-8 with all the injuries and the QB debacle? He said, I think we had a pretty good team. So what gives? What's the real reason that the GM for the Vikes got fired?
Yeah, Nate, I don't think it's the Darnold thing. I know you and I have probably disagreed about this over the last couple of months. I don't think it's the Darnold thing for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've already made this point, but when you draft a first-round quarterback, he needs to be given an opportunity to play. So that's one. Two is I don't know that Darnold would have come back anyway, even for the right amount of money, because he would have seen Seattle as obviously an opportunity to start right away, and he would have known at the very least, even if he did win the starting job in Minnesota.
Oh, he would have won it.
Couple of bad games, and they're going to go to McCarthy, right, because they want to see what they have. The other part, though, with the Darnold thing, Nate, is you're telling me Kevin O'Connell had no say in this whatsoever? I don't believe that, right? So it wasn't just the GM's call to not bring back Darnold. O'Connell had to, at the very least, had some collaboration in that decision. And so I can't put all of this on that decision as to why he's gone right now. I don't think that's I don't think there's one necessarily smoking gun that says, well, if he just would have brought back Darnold, he'd still have a job right now. I don't think that's it. I think
it's a factor, though. It's a factor. It has to be a big factor.
It shouldn't be, though. It really shouldn't be, because when they're
you let that guy walk. I mean, this is a 14-3 thing here.
O'Connell had nothing to do with that?
It sounds like Kevin doesn't love JJ. Doesn't love him, it sounds like.
And so O'Connell had nothing to do with drafting his quarterback?
Well, we'll say this is Kevin's show now. I mean, Kevin's got one more chance. This is it right here.
Yeah, once the GM goes, you can say all you want. You had nothing to do with those. But in the modern-day NFL, offensive guru coaches, particularly QB whisperers like Kevin O'Connell is, they don't go into a draft where they're going to get McCarthy and have him not involved in that decision at all. Right? He has to sign off. If he says to his GM that, hey, I get why you like McCarthy, but I just don't see that upside, there's no way they would have drafted him, because the GM knows if his coach doesn't have his back, what's going to happen? The GM is going to go, for sure. No doubt about it, when you have a guy who's shown that he can absolutely build quarterbacks up. So
it's a collaboration. I'm going to say you got to make the decisions together, but it was a risk, and it ended up costing him. This is a big risk here.
Yeah, but I think it's more about his drafting overall, right? You know, Albert Breer had a good, he does this Monday afternoon kind of summary thing where he gives you lots of tidbits from around the league, and he talked about the Minnesota GM firing, and his point was, and I read this earlier, I'm pretty sure I have this right, he had 8 top 100 picks over the last 4 years and has only hit on one of them, right? And that was Jordan Addison, right? Short of that, he really hasn't. And then, I want to say he has had 15 or 20 day 3 picks, and he's only hit on one of those as well. And again, those day 3 picks are tougher, but they show you, how great of a staff you have, how great of a scouting department you have, what you're actually doing, because the teams that hit on those, that pay these guys, they're not making a ton of money when you're a 5th, 6th, 7th round draft pick. If you hit on those guys and they fill spots on your roster year after year, that's how you're really successful in the NFL.
By the way, do we think, I'm looking at Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. I don't know a lot about him other than he was in the research department for the 49ers for 6 years. Research and development. That means he was crunching numbers, looking at spreadsheets, that stuff. Then he went to the Browns for a year, VP of football operations, and the Vikings put him in the GM spot. I don't know if it's just me, but I think it's a guy that's kind of like, well, we're smarter than everybody, and the Vikings got, hey, we're going to go out of the box. This is the owner's fault to me, is they went out of the box and got this guy he wasn't a football GM. He's not. This is a numbers guy and an analytics guy, and they took a chance, and here you are.
Yeah, and we've seen this before, so I agree with you. It's on the owners. Cleveland did this a while back, years ago, with an old baseball guy, if you remember, Paul DePodesta, right? And because he was going to have all of these analytics, and he did it better than everyone else, and he crunches those numbers well. Guys, why are we trying to reinvent? How about we look to the teams that are successful year in and year out and maybe start copying some of their habits? But I completely agree with you. This is on ownership. And to a second point, Nate, it's on ownership that you waited until weeks after the season is over, a month after the season is over, to now get rid of him. Why wouldn't you telling me you didn't evaluate that by the time the end of the season came?
That's why I believe the Darnold thing was a little emotional. I think it was Darnold's run here to the NFC Championship, to the Super Bowl, a little emotional going, and we let Sam Darnold, we didn't even try? I don't know if they even tried.
But that's not true. They did try.
I don't know if they tried.
No, they absolutely tried. They absolutely tried. But if you were Sam Darnold, you wouldn't have come back anyway.
Oh, I'm coming back. Justin Jefferson said, Sam, we would have been in good shape. JJ said it today.
But that doesn't mean that Darnold would have come back just because Jefferson thinks that he would have been in better shape. Darnold got a 3-year, $100 million contract from a team that he knew he was basically guaranteed to start for.
We let him go to free agency, though. They let him go to free agency.
Well, what were you going to do? You weren't going to give the guy a guaranteed starting spot. There was no way you were doing that.
That was the mistake. You're 14-3. What a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, you and I are never going to agree on this one at all.
We are.
You have a first-round drafted quarterback. He has to be given an opportunity to succeed over a few-year period. And if that doesn't, sometimes it doesn't work, and you made a bad decision. You have to reset again. You can't have both of these guys there at the same time, because what it ends up doing is it undermines both of them. They both have short leashes.
I would have liked to do that if I finished 9-8, like this season. I would have given JJ a chance. We went to 14-3. We were on the verge of making a run. We were going to be the number 1 seed, and we bagged it over 2 games. That's what happened. Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell looked at it and said, man, those games, yeah, that struggle. So they bagged it, and now they end up doing this. By the way, they're not going to hire a GM until after the draft. They're not going to do it until after the draft. So Kevin O'Connell, I guess, is going to run the show.
I would say that this is all completely on his shoulders now, and if it doesn't work, he has no one left to blame.
KOC is going to be in a hot spot if he can turn this thing around. I talked to Vikings writer Matthew Collar tonight, and he said Kevin O'Connell's not going to go into next year just relying on J.J. McCarthy. He feels like he's going to try and get somebody to put heavy pressure on him or take his spot.
And I guess I understand that at this point. I mean, if it's your job on the line and you don't... What it says more than anything, though, Nate, is that O'Connell doesn't trust McCarthy at all.
Yes.
Right? Because if you trust him and your only concern is that he hasn't had the reps because he's been injury-prone, or your actual concern is that he's injury-prone, you give it a chance again, right? But if you really don't think that this is your guy, then you do bring in someone else. And I guess that's more telling than anything else. I still, as I've said many times, I'd give him another year, because once you go down this path of bringing someone else in to challenge him, what's going to end up happening is more likely than not they both fail.
By the way, a leaked report from 2023, part of this Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah thing, the Vikings GM, he took 2 weeks off for paternity leave during training camp in 2023. I don't see that as that's why he got fired. No, that was 2023. They ended up winning a lot of games, and we know the story after that. And if they would have won this year, nobody would have talked about it. But paternity leave, 2 weeks during training camp, here's how I see it. Kevin O'Connell wouldn't be allowed to do that, so why did the GM do it?
Nate, to me, it's not even about being allowed or not allowed, because certainly he's allowed to do that. And in a lot of careers and a lot of jobs and a lot of industries, it would be okay to do that. In the NFL, you're allowed to do it, but you're going to be judged on it as well, right? So no one's going to fire you for doing that, and I don't think that's why he got fired.
It's not, but the Vikings say, oh, we supported it a minute. Well, what are they going to say?
Yeah, and if everybody around you in your industry is not doing it and you choose to do it, you better be blameless in everything else, right? You better get straight A's everywhere else if you decide to do something that is completely countercultural to the NFL, which you and I know very well. Coaches, executives regularly have, even certainly in training camp, starting their day at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, going to 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's the career path that you chose. You want to reinvent it and say that we should have more of a work-life balance, go right ahead. But when the results don't show up,
that's it.
That's going to be one of the reasons why they say you don't have a job anymore.
They started saying that wasn't the reason he got fired, but that started a trend of, or a thought there of, is this guy not really a football guy? It's kind of different.
Yeah.
You know, people said that seems odd. I asked my question of the day to the audience. What do you think of the GM for the Vikings taking 2 weeks off for paternity leave during training camp a few years ago? 58% say that seems odd for the NFL. 42% say it's totally fine.
Yeah, I think it should be even higher than that. It's not. It is very odd for the NFL.
Very
Which
odd.
player would be allowed to miss 2 weeks of training camp?
Even Kevin, I put it this way, like, if Kevin O'Connell did that, young guy, has a young family, what if he did that? Minnesota fans would go crazy.
Absolutely.
He's going to take 2 weeks off during training camp?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, anybody can understand it in the offseason, like leading up, and I think you could even understand. I couldn't understand a coach missing an OTA, but I can understand a GM missing an OTA. Like a 3-day kind of off-season training activities, things like that. That I could see. But once the season start, when those guys report to camp, everybody has to be headed in the same direction.
I wonder how those discussions went inside Minnesota during that time, but everybody doesn't want to say the wrong thing. It's like, well, no, he can do this, but we're cutting down the roster from 90 to 53. I mean, it's kind of kind of a big thing. Wild story out of Minnesota. They're going to need a GM. I don't know where they're going to go. George Payton from my Broncos was in Minnesota before. That's who they think they may want. Will the Broncos let him out the door? We'll see how it rolls. Coming right back, Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl. What if he wins? What will Rob say then? Coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Sell cars, we buy them too. We make cash offers to purchase local cars, trucks, and SUVs every day. Tired of listing online? Tired of messages? Or just tired of making payments? Whatever the reason, make an appointment at rapidchevrolet.com for a no-obligation appraisal. It's fast and free. When you're ready to sell, we're ready to buy. At Denny Menholt Rapid Chevrolet, Rapid City.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Welcome in. Your sports, your show. The Nate Brown Show is on. Super Bowl week. Countdown to the big game Sunday. Hope you're ready. We're going to be live. I'll tell you, it's going to be awesome. Thursday here on this show, making our picks. So we're going to make our picks Thursday. We'll have Lee Sterling on as well from Paramount Sports. He's going to make his picks. So Rob Kagron's in tonight for a Reaction Monday and our countdown to the big game. A lot of stuff popping. Vikings fire their GM now into the Super Bowl. I do want to see how this goes. If Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, I mean, you're counting against all odds here. You're just hoping against hope that Sam Darnold does not win, so you don't have to do a full 360, a total spin And I wonder if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, will you consider him a top 10 quarterback?
Well, I think, in fact, Nate, it comes down to a couple of things. First is, how does he perform in the game, right?
You're so harsh.
If
You're
it's
just
one,
so harsh.
Well, if it's one of these ones, like they won the 2 games against San Francisco, the last game in the regular season, first game in the playoffs, no, I'm not going to. If he performs even at, I would say, 75% of the way he did in the NFC Championship game, I would have to say that he's right there. I think he's probably 10 at that point. No better than that. I can name 9 for sure that are better.
9 for sure.
Yes, I can absolutely.
They're not playing Sunday, but
well, that's okay. I mean, it doesn't. Just because you're
you
playing,
gotta win. You like winners.
I love winners, but I also look at the whole body of work at the same time. And Darnold's body of work, certainly the last 2 years have been very good, but the body of work at the end of last season was terrible. He's had one excellent playoff game. One excellent, truly excellent playoff game. I'll give him all the credit in the world for it. He's the MVP of that game. If he does that again, I'd say he's right there at 10. Maybe you could say 9, but no more than that.
Okay, so I would absolutely. I've said his stats, his winning, his stats. He's top 5.
Okay,
his stats are top 5.
Okay, Nate, you're going to tell me right now. Now we're going to do this, right? You're going to tell me he's better than Josh Allen.
Well, not better than Josh.
Okay, so that's 1. Mahomes.
This year he was.
We're not talking about. We're talking about overall. Mahomes was also hurt.
I'm going to put him in my top 10.
Would Mahomes be better than him? That's 1. Mahomes, you have to say, is better.
Usually.
Okay. So Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
Are we Lamar's kidding? Really struggling.
Oh, come on,
Lamar
Nate.
is struggling. He is struggling.
Joe Burrow?
Struggling.
Matt Stafford?
Well, Matt's looking okay.
I mean,
he's looking
I just
okay.
gave you 5 right there. He's not top. Like I said, I'll give you top 10, and you and I can have some arguments between 6 and 10 of where he fits in there. But he's not in top 5.
I think you could argue about Lamar Jackson. You could argue about Lamar right now. What's Lamar done? Lamar's sitting at home again, doing nothing, just like every year.
Yeah, but Lamar's also, Lamar's had very, very few good weapons. Again, he's made a lot of mistakes in playoff games. But let's be fair, they're not all on him entirely.
See, that's the thing, is you pick apart Sam if he makes mistakes, and you let Lamar off the hook.
Because Lamar's a league MVP twice over, if I remember correctly.
That was a long time ago.
A few years ago. But let's be fair, right? He's had a whole body of work where week in, week out, when he's healthy, he is an excellent quarterback. Darnold has had 2 years, Nate. 2 years, and the rest is either not playing or terrible.
How about this, though? How about this stat? 2 years of 14 wins or more. The only other guy to do it back-to-back is Tom Brady, and nobody's done it on 2 different teams back-to-back. That's unbelievable.
And I'll give him a lot of credit for that, like I said. And I do think with a win on Sunday, he would move into that bottom end of the top 10. I would probably rank him lower than you. I just think top 5 is a big ask. Don't get me wrong, he will have proved himself as winning a Super Bowl, right? But to say that he's better than the 5 guys I just mentioned, if I were starting a team, right? Not plugging him into my team. If I was starting a team, I'd pick those 5 guys over him any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Any day of the week.
Absolutely.
No question.
Not in one of my
Lamar
mind.
Jackson, who's really fallen off a cliff. Joe Burrow can't stay healthy. I mean, it's all these things like, if Joe's so good, why can't he take the Bengals to he's got a lot of weapons.
Well, he's been hurt a lot, right? Let's be fair. When he was healthy, he did get to a Super Bowl, right?
I'm trying to think who else you put in your top 10. Who else you kind of think it through here, and you're running out of people. That's why Sam, to me, is top 10, no doubt. And if he wins, man, this guy's like top 5 the last 2 years.
Yeah, I still don't see it. I think there are guys, even if they had an off year or they were injured, that doesn't to me negate, because I don't go year by year. Like, if we're just going to rank them for this year, I'm thinking about going into next year. And right, so when I go into next year, so if you want to say their performance this year, fine, I'll give you Darnold.
And last year?
No, because last year at the end mars it. It absolutely mars it. Because when you lose that badly in those last 2 games of the year,
just like
it mars
Lamar,
your performance.
Just like Lamar, he loses all the time.
Fair enough, but he went a little further in the playoffs than our friend Sam Darnold did last year. Let's be fair. And he got his butt kicked in both of those games at the end of last year. Let's be fair about that as well. All right? So if you want to evaluate this after Sunday, next Monday, and say who were the top 5 QBs this past year, okay, I think you have an argument. But the way I look at it is I'm going forward into next year. Who are my top 5, top 10 quarterbacks? Does
Sam
he move
Darnold's
up?
gotta be- yes,
if he
he's
wins the
gotta be
Super
in.
Bowl, he absolutely moves up. No doubt about it. I probably had him somewhere at 15 or 16. If he moves up, if he wins the Super Bowl, he absolutely moves up and probably, like I said, back end of that top 10. But it doesn't make him better than 5 guys who have a body of work over 5 to 7, 8 years that is much better than his.
Will Sam Darnold win another Super Bowl? After he wins on Sunday, will he win another one in his career?
What's the expression? The horse jumping before the cart? Is that how that works? Are you nuts? You want to talk about a second Super Bowl? Have you lost your mind?
I do. So you think Sam, this is a flash in the pan? I
don't
tell.
know, but he
It's a
hasn't even
flash in the
won
pan.
yet.
Flash in the pan. 14 wins back-to-back years. Flash in the pan.
That's a reaction Monday for next Monday's question if he wins. How can I predict if he's going to win a second
Because
one
I've already
when he
told-
hasn't even won his first one?
I've already told you he's going to win his first one Sunday, so just start thinking about that.
All right, we really need to, Matt, we really need to get that audio so that if he loses and if he gets his butt kicked on Sunday,
you're just
like I
hoping
think it's
for
going to
it.
happen.
I mean,
I just want to play that during, like, coming back out of every break.
You know
out
what
of
it's
every
called?
single break.
You got to take some chances. You got to be bold. You can't sit here and pound Sam Darnold even though he keeps winning. By the way, I'm going to come right back. I'm going to jump out. A little surprise for Rob Kegron. Which one of these teams in the Super Bowl will fall off the cliff? That's what I'd like to know. I am going to get the cart before the horse. Which one of these teams is going to fall off the cliff after this year? Coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Sports Commission, the powerhouse behind sports in Rapid City. The commission focuses on bringing regional and national tournaments, supporting homegrown events, and creating opportunities for our kids. But it's not just games, it's a win-win for all of us. Youth sports fuel our economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown Show. Rob Kagron's in studio live. It's a reaction Monday as we get you set for the Super Bowl. I'm excited. Big week, no doubt. The Nate Brown Show powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union. I've been telling you about these guys. It's my banking partner. It's the right choice. We do all of our stuff through them, whether it's our app on our phone. It's really easy. Mobile banking. Technology is great. Convenience and great personal touch at BHFCU. Great rates on loans, personal or business. Become a member at BHFCU. 18 locations across South Dakota from the Black Hills to Sioux Falls. Become a member. It's easy. BHFCU.com. Take advantage of all the benefits of being a member at Black Hills Federal Credit Union. All right. Speaking of putting the cart before the horse, so this is interesting. Nobody thought this time last year that the Chiefs taking on the Eagles, we didn't know what was going to happen in the game. I took the Eagles because I don't like the Chiefs, so it's easy. I bet emotionally there. So I took the Eagles. But nobody thought the Chiefs would fall off like this. We always kind of wonder, when's it going to happen? They might not be as good. They're kind of getting older. They're losing some skill guys. Nobody thought the Chiefs would fall off, and we still didn't think it through, 12, 13 weeks of the season. We're like, well, they're still in this thing. They're still the Chiefs. The Chiefs fall off. They don't even make the playoffs. So let's go into this. Seattle, New England, two surprise teams in the Super Bowl. Is there a fall off? Is one of these teams, which one would you say has the fall off? And I just know what you're going to say.
You know where I'm going. But and it's not just to troll on Sam Darnold. If one of these teams is going to completely fall off, in my mind, it's Seattle for a simple reason. Their division is much more difficult than the Patriots division. The Patriots play the lowly Jets, maybe the most inept organization in all of professional sports. So number one right there.
Yep, that helps.
The Dolphins have had nothing to really be crazy about over the last few years. I get to get a new coach, but they're retooling, rebranding, rebuilding. And I know you have Buffalo. So Buffalo obviously is competition there for sure. But Seattle has, first of all, the AFC is easier than the NFC. There's no doubt about that. Certainly this past year. So you wouldn't imagine that would change dramatically next year. Oh, my gosh.
AFC seems pretty tough to me.
The NFC was...
AFC seems pretty tough. We got all the QBs in the AFC. We got all of them. All of them.
Which of the when we started the playoffs, which of those teams in the AFC did you think had a real great chance to make the Super Bowl? I thought it was your Denver Broncos. I thought it was the Patriots.
Bills, maybe?
I thought maybe the Bills, right? But there was no way Pittsburgh was getting there. We knew that. I mean, Jacksonville wasn't getting there. I know they had played better this year, but they weren't ready for that kind of stage.
Look at all the QBs. They're in the AFC, so I think it's tough to get through the Joe Burrow, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen.
But you can also say there's so much more parity in the NFC, where week in, week out, it is a tougher grind than it is in the AFC. I mean, I can list the worst teams in the league, and way more of them are in the AFC than they are in the NFC.
You know who's going to fall off in that division? Your Rams. The Rams are going to fall off. They just signed everybody to extensions, like this party's going to keep going. Matthew Stafford's not going to be what he is, so they're going to fall off.
If he's healthy, there's no reason to think he won't be what he is. I think they'll actually be better next year.
Better.
I think he probably realizes he has 1 or 2 years left, and they're going to give it all they have.
Watch for the Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers fall off. It's coming.
I don't see that at all. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to be excellent still. And the Rams are an aggressive team who routinely give up draft picks to get guys who can fill spots for them. I could absolutely see them making one more go at this. But my point to you is that the NFC West is a significantly more difficult division than the AFC East. And so if one of these teams is going to... And I think both of them might have some staying power. So I'm not saying that either of them will necessarily fall off a cliff.
Like the Chiefs? no playoffs. Go from the Super Bowl to no playoffs.
The one thing I will say is there's always a risk for the losing team in the Super Bowl to have a down year. If we looked at the last 10 to 15 years, we could cite a number of examples of teams that after losing a Super Bowl don't make the playoffs the following year. There is that bit of a hangover that, you played that much more, you didn't succeed, you're not exactly sure how to retool, what you didn't work. I mean, I can think of San Francisco from a couple of years ago, obviously Kansas City. There are plenty of examples of it, so I think that could happen. I don't think the team that wins this week is going to not make the playoffs short of a catastrophic injury to the team.
You know what's going to happen to the Patriots? I'm going to say, look out. I know the NFC West is tougher. Patriots, the cupcake schedule's going away. So outside of the Jets, you get to play twice. Dolphins, that's fine. They had the easiest schedule in the NFL. They had the easiest schedule in the NFL. Congrats, you made the Super Bowl. How fun. They aren't going to keep this up. They're going to have to play tough teams for once. The Patriots aren't the world beaters you think they are. They're not, and they're going to fall off. They're going to come back to like 10-7. Book it.
But even that, and I don't know exactly who the Patriots line up with this year in the AFC, but I can tell you, obviously, as a first-place team, they play the three other first-place teams. That would be Jacksonville, I'm not that scared. Denver, okay, very good team, no doubt about it. And who would the other one be? Pittsburgh, right? So it's like,
are you going to tell me? They could beat them.
Yeah, but are you going to tell me that you'd be scared of those particular teams? I don't see that at all.
Patriots fall off. Seahawks, they're not going to go 14-3. So I think they both come back to reality. Patriots' schedule is going to get not as easy. It was the easiest schedule. That's how they made it. Soft. Just really, really soft. And a lucky backup QB mess in Denver. So I'm telling you what's going to happen in the Super Bowl this week. We're not going to make our predictions yet, but I do have a prediction. I didn't put this on the sheet. This is the surprise. I know exactly what people are going to be complaining about all night long. And we'll discuss what people are going to be so mad about. The refs, what's it going to be? We'll tell you next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Could there be a better name? Auto Value Parts Stores. They aren't just about air fresheners or fuzzy dice. Auto Value Parts Stores are all about parts, auto parts, and advice. Pros who know auto parts with tons of tips when you need them the most. You want real value? Don't go to a place with a cute name. Go to Auto Value. Could there be a better name? I didn't think so. Your Auto Value Parts Store. We've got the parts, we've got the smarts.
Text scams continue to rise, and victims who have lost money to these scams continues to increase. Consumers cannot rely on a text message to be truthful. If you receive a message regarding a fine for missing jury duty, your utilities being shut off for non-payment, toll road fines, or you've won a sweepstakes, these are scams designed with an urgency and the need to send money now. Do not respond to these texts, and you should contact Consumer Protection at 800-300-1986. That's 800-300-1986 for the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division.
Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is everywhere you need us to be. On the sidelines, supporting our local athletes, at our clinic locations throughout the region, and at our Ortho Express walk-in clinic when you don't have time to wait. We're here when you need us, working as a team to make your comeback stronger than ever. Getting stronger, getting better, getting you back to your best self. The life of an athlete has its uncertainties, wins and losses, injury and recovery. In the Black Hills area, athletes can always count on Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, here for whatever moves you.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Mainly clear skies tonight with lows around 30. Northwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain. Tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 48, cloudy skies expected. Mainly clear skies. Tomorrow night, chance for rain becoming mixed precipitation. Lows dip down to about 27. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 47 degrees.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
Catch high school basketball action this weekend on Fox Sports Rapid City. Friday night, the Rapid City Central Cobblers host Brandon Valley Lynx in a boys and girls doubleheader beginning at 6. Then the Rapid City Stevens Raiders meet Brandon Valley in a doubleheader Saturday starting at 12:30. Join Teen Gurren meets Rome Wickersham for the pregame show Friday at 5:45 and Saturday at 12:15. The Cobblers and the Lynx on Friday, the Raiders and the Lynx on Saturday, right here on Fox Sports Rapid City.
City driving might feel routine, but it's tough on your car. All those quick starts, hard stops, endless red lights, and long idle times. They wear things down fast. Brakes, fluids, engine components, they all take a beating. That's where Al's D&I Repair in Rapid City comes in. We handle the maintenance that keeps your vehicle ready for whatever the city throws at it. Al's D&I, fixing it right since 77. Check in at Al's D&I on Sturgis Road and online at alsdniautorepair.com.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
All right, wrapping up the Monday show, Reaction Monday with Rob Kegron live in studio. If you missed parts of the show, we went out to Minnesota tonight to Matthew Collar. Big news with the Vikings. GM gets fired, and now their reaction and aftermath. We did go to the Super Bowl live tonight with Greg Bell, Seahawks beat writer for the News Tribune. He was at Seahawks practice and Roger Goodell presser today. Greg Bell on tonight with a preview. He has a lot of confidence in Sam Darnold. Jason Andero is in tonight talking high school hoops. So go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. We'll put it up right after this show. Search for it. Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Search the Nate Brown Show and you've got the podcast. All right. Are you ready to make a prediction? Not our scores yet. Not our scores. I have the biggest prediction that I know is going to happen. It's just going to light up your phones. It's going to light up everything. I know what's going to happen on Sunday for the Super Bowl. Does Rob Kegron have any prediction that you know is going to happen? Do you know what I'm talking about?
What people are going to complain about? Is that what you're saying?
Complaining. Just terrible. It's just going to be, you're never going to see more complaints than this.
I'm just going to guess, and I don't know, the halftime show?
Yes.
Oh, I guess right. Okay.
We didn't talk about this.
No, we didn't.
We went into the break, and I said, do you know what I'm talking about? No, I don't know what you're talking about. That you know what's getting. I mean, it happens every year. It doesn't matter if it's Paul McCartney, if it's Rolling Stones, if it's the wardrobe malfunction back in the day. Why do people want to complain about the halftime show?
I think, one reason I think is because it attracts a completely different viewership, right? Like, you probably watch. I kind of watch, but I usually use it as a break from the actual game.
I do usually run up, get some food, get whatever.
Yeah, and even just, like I might go onto Twitter and look at some things that were interesting from the first half. But when you go to a Super Bowl party, and I don't always go. Sometimes I'll watch at home by myself. But if I go, it's amazing. Like if you're with, there's a bunch of couples or just friends or whatever it may be, right? And there's like 15 people watching the game, and then all of a sudden there's like 32 people watching the halftime show. Like, where did you all come from? Like, why are you watching this? Like, so I think that's part of it is because it does attract a different kind of viewership. But then for the real football fan, it's like, I don't want to watch this crap. It's too much going on. It takes too long.
All complain.
Yep.
Then we want to tell people, I don't like this show, and this is terrible. And it was Kendrick Lamar last year. I don't. It's Bad Bunny. I don't know Bad Bunny. I could give a rip about Bad Bunny, but I'm not going to complain Sunday. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't care either, and I won't complain. It is interesting how this has shifted. It used to be a lot more mainstream acts, and maybe Bad Bunny you would say is mainstream, but certainly not mainstream in the world that I live in, or where even like my daughter, who's 11 and similar to age to your younger daughter, I think, right? She knew Kendrick Lamar last year, right? Even as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Knew some of those songs. Unfortunately, I wish she didn't know them. She doesn't know a lot about, she knows a little bit about Bad Bunny, but not a huge amount. Like, I don't think Bad Bunny is something that people are talking about every day. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and you could tell me I'm completely wrong.
Get ready. They'll be talking about it on Sunday. You better believe it. So just mark my words. Everybody, listen to this program. It's the biggest prediction. Bad Bunny is going to get complained. I mean, it's going to be on your phones. The Facebook warriors are going to be out. So just take some time. If you don't want to watch Bad Bunny, just cool it. Nobody cares. I don't care.
No.
I don't care what you think about Bad Bunny. I don't care what you think about whoever, the Rolling Stones. We complained because they were too old. Now Bad Bunny's like young, or has whoever saw. Just watch. He'll get more complaints than the refs. He'll get more complaints than Sam Darnold, and that's saying something.
Absolutely. It will be very polarizing to see, not just the performance, but anything that he does, any kind of antics. Every year there's always something that happens in one of these halftime shows.
Our real prediction for the game is coming up Thursday. Rob Kagron will be back in for a happy hour. The Nate Brown Show podcast going up right now. Thanks for listening. We're back tomorrow with the full show, and we'll go out to Santa Clara again. See ya.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people get into all kinds of vehicles with